How you doing, everybody? Welcome back. Oh, the camera's over there. Welcome back to Stand Focused for Jesus. We have a special guest, my lovely, beautiful wife.
Women stand focused for Jesus.
The pregnant Miss King, pregnant with our second child, Abraham. And I have some questions for her. As you see from the title of the video, she is my interviewee. I'm interviewing her. She doesn't know what I'm going to ask her. I'm going to be, she's going to get personal because the questions are going to be personal, and she's going to be honest with the answers. She doesn't know what I'm going to ask her, which is going to put her on the spot and force her to give a honest answer on the spot instead of a rehearsed answer. So there's a lot of things. I'm not asking you this. I'm just giving my prologue. A lot of things are going on in regards to abortion and things like that. And my wife, she takes a very strong stance against abortion. But people will read her post and say, "Oh, she's against abortion and blase blase," and they don't realize. And I tell her this all the time, not all the time, but when we talk about it in regards to the context of us speaking about it, how she used to be a murderer because she had 2 abortions and she killed those children, her children, and her mindset was different from what it is now. And so we want to go into her mind from a woman that has actually done it, because I can speak about it all day from the scriptures, but what about women who have been through it? What about women who have been through other things? And I'm going to ask her some other things too that y'all going to see. Not just women who are just regular women in regards to not being saved, but from the perspective of a woman who was actually not did it once but twice, and now she has come to the saving salvation of the Lord Jesus Christ. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get to these deep questions, because y'all know how I do. So I'm not holding back just because of my wife and she knows it. My first question is, at what age were you first, I guess you could say, raped / molested?
4 years old.
4 years old. You were first, would you say, was it rape or was it molestation?
Molestation.
Okay. By who?
Cousins.
Your cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So it was family.
Family. Yep.
And I mean, was it a situation where y'all were living in the same city, or were y'all, you were traveling there to visit them, and then,
At that time when I was 4, I was so little. I was gonna say we're visiting. No, we just moved. We moved there. We moved where they were living, and so we were in the same. Not even just the same city. We were in the same house. Well, the children who molested me lived in the house in the front, and me and my parents lived in the house behind their house. I'm pointing because we live kind of like that now. So it was the same address. And that's how, I feel like even if I would have been visiting, it still would have happened. But of course, it made it easier because I was there longer.
And why do you feel like that if you would have just been visiting, it still would have happened?
Because because of where we were in the car. We were just going like from A to B. We were going from the house to, I think we were going to the store. And it happened in the car. So that could have happened any day. It wasn't at night. It wasn't, where no one was around. Like, we were around grown-ups. They didn't see it. They didn't see it when it first happened.
So you said it happened in the car. Explain that a little bit.
Oh, Lord. I hope my family don't watch this video.
Well, I mean,
I know.
I tell you,
because they're gonna be like, "Oh my God." I was in the back seat, and my cousin was also in the back seat. We were buckled in. My mom, I think she was in the passenger seat, and my aunt was driving. And I think we were going to the store. said I was just 4 years old, and one of my cousins, this particular cousin, I think he got out of his seatbelt, but for sure he came over to where I was at, and he put his hands in my pants and tried to, I don't know what he was trying to do. It's like I was 4, so I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, what is he doing? And I was like trying to get him off of me, and then he stopped, and then he thought it was funny, and then he tried it again, and of course my mom and my aunt was like, what's going on back there? So they look back there and they see him like with his hands in my pants. So my aunt, she turned around and she bust him. But that kind of stuff with this particular cousin, he would try to find ways to molest different girls in the family. I wasn't the only one. I found out later that I wasn't the only one, but when I was 4, I didn't know. I just thought something was wrong with him, and I would try to avoid him. But yeah, that happened when I was 4 in the car.
And how old was he?
6, 7. He wasn't that old. He was a little
Child,
boy. Yeah.
Child too.
Yeah, he wasn't like 15, 16. No, he's only like a few years older than me.
So obviously he had to learn it from
somebody. Don't know who. I still don't know who. I would like to know. But yeah.
Okay. My next question is, did it happen again?
You mean molestation or that particular cousin?
Molestation.
Oh yes. Several times. Several times when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A lot of times, different cousins. Every time it was cousins. I've never had strangers to molest or rape me. Every situation that I was in, it was cousins. It was the same situation. We were staying with family. The next time it happened, I was 5, and we were in Houston, and we were staying with, this time it was my aunt and my uncle. Well, that time it was my aunt and uncle too, but it was a different state. So, different cousins. And this happened because I can't tell you why it happened, but my parents and my aunt and uncle, they put all the girls in one room and they put all the boys in another room. And I guess grown-ups think, hey, girls ain't gonna do nothing. They're gonna go in there and play dolls and gonna go to sleep. Well, that's not true, because my girl cousins molested me, and I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I was like little. I was 5. I remember I was 5 because that's when we were in Houston, and that's when my brother Austin was born. Well, actually, he was born when I was 4 in the previous state in Louisiana. See, I'm telling states. If I tell the state, then that tells who the family is. So my family watching is gonna be like, "Oh, I know exactly what she's talking about." I was trying not to tell the state, but I told it. So okay, now y'all know. Yeah. So when I was 5, this happened in Houston, and like I said, my brother Austin was born not too long before that, and they trusted that the little girls would just, play and go to sleep. But that is not what happened. We were all in the bed together, all in the same bed, and we were all around the same age. I was 5. I think the cousin did that to me was like 6 or 7, and then my other cousin was like 8. Like we weren't far apart in age. It wasn't like I was 5 and they were like 15 or 13. It was like we were all within 2 or 3 years apart. And these were girl cousins, and they put their hands and their mouth in places that little children shouldn't do it, and yeah, it's just, that's what happened to me. And I didn't tell my parents, or I didn't tell my mama. My daddy, I still didn't tell him, but I didn't tell my mama until I was grown. And then again, another cousin in Texas, was it Arkansas? I don't know. It happened so many times with different cousins in different states. And I was a child. Each time I was a child, and my parents and my aunts and uncles just trusted putting us together in the same bedroom, and that kind of stuff would happen. And then it stopped when we moved to Beaumont, because then it was just me and my brothers, and so I didn't have any cousins around to molest me. We had our own house by that time, and it was just us. But before that, boy cousins, girl cousins molested me, and I told my mama when I was grown.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to make sure I hit on that point. That she mentioned that she wasn't only molested by male cousins, but she was also molested by female cousins.
Yes.
So all this ties in with what we call sodomy. And we're going to get even more personal to see how those different situations later affected her in life. Now,
can I also interject?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. It wasn't like this was happening to me and I was enjoying it, or I, wanted to do it again. In no case with any of my cousins did I enjoy it or want it to happen again. I felt like something was wrong, but I didn't really know to tell anybody or who to tell or even what to say. Like, so and so touched me, I didn't know, so I didn't say anything.
And that was my next question. Why didn't you ever say anything until later in life?
Because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to even bring it to my mama. I knew I wasn't gonna tell my daddy, because my daddy, he would overreact about everything, so I didn't want to tell him anyway. But had I told my mama, I wouldn't have even known what to say, and I didn't want to get my cousins in trouble. I kept thinking that, like, well, if I tell, then what's gonna happen to them? What's gonna happen? Are they gonna get chopped up? I didn't know. As a child, you think extreme. You think like, especially black folks. You've seen how black people beat their kids and cut them in half. Not for real, literally, but I was afraid. I didn't know what to say, and I didn't know how to tell my mama. But when I did tell her, it was after I got saved, after I was in my 30s. And I was comfortable telling her. I wasn't scared anymore. Before, I was scared. I was like, what do I say? And like I said, I didn't want to get those cousins in trouble. So, and children, they don't really think straight. Children don't think like, if I tell, maybe the adults would do something to stop it. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking like, oh, they're going to be in big trouble. I'm going to be in big trouble. So that's why.
Which is why Jesus said that your family are those who are in Him. You mentioned rape in a previous statement as you were talking. Have you ever been raped?
Yes, I have been raped. In this case, it wasn't family that raped me. It was a boyfriend. Well, actually, before that, when I was 17, it was happened like twice. The first time I was 17 and I met this dude, and I wasn't really into him like that, but I gave him the time of day because he was very persistent, and I went to his house with my friend, and I don't like talking about it because I hate thinking about it, but he took advantage of me and he raped me, but I really felt like I deserved it. I felt like I shouldn't have been there, and had I not been there, it wouldn't have happened. And so I only told one person. I told my best friend because she was there. And I don't know. I mean, looking back, I don't feel like it was my fault, but definitely then when I was 17, I felt like I shouldn't have been there. Had I been smart and just avoided, going over there, because I didn't even know this dude like that. Like, I had just met him, I think like the week prior. I just met him, and I met him one time, talked to him on the phone like 1 or 2 times, and when I showed up at his house, I wasn't even thinking that was gonna happen at all. I was just being naive, I guess, just being dumb. And I remember when I went in his room and he was showing me all his family pictures and just talking to me, trying to, help me get to know him. I wasn't really interested. I just was trying to be nice. And then when I was ready to leave, he wouldn't let me leave. Now, had I been smart, I would have screamed for help, but I didn't. I was scared. And then the same year, still 17, the boyfriend that I was dating, because that dude wasn't my boyfriend, the dude who did that to me, I can't say he was a stranger, because I knew his name, and I knew where he lived, and we talked on the phone a couple of times, but it wasn't like a complete stranger, And then the boyfriend that I was dating when I was 17, that I felt like that was my fault too, but at the same time, I was really upset because, you know, I knew him. You know, like, we spent time together. I knew his family. You know, he knew my family. And at the time, how it happened was I went over there, and it was him. He was at home. His sister was at home, and his sister's daughter was at home. She was like 6 months old, 8 months old, something like that. His mama was gone, so nobody was there but his and his sister was the same age as me. So she was 17, I was 17. I think he was like 19 or 20, and I think he was 19. And his sister said she was going to the store to watch her baby, you know, and she was going to go get some weed or whatever. I didn't smoke ever. I didn't smoke, but I was around people who smoked. He smoked, she smoked, their mama smoked, you know, like, I was around people who constantly smoked weed. She said she was going to watch her baby. She'd be back. Well, while she was gone, he was already drinking. I'm pretty sure he was probably drunk or almost drunk. He was smoking weed right there in front of the baby. Like I said, the baby was 6 or 8 months old. And he decided he wanted some booty. And I told him no. I was like, no. No. You know, it's not like we had never had sex before. We had sex before, but it wasn't at his mama house. It wasn't in front of his niece. It was, you know, away. You know, kids, should I say teenagers, people usually, you know, find a place that makes more sense than, you know, in their mama house, in the dining room, you know. And he didn't care. So we fought, and he won.
So you've been molested?
Yes.
Several times?
Yes.
And you've been raped more than one time?
Yes.
Just want to make sure I get that clear so the people, they hear it clear, just in case they didn't get it. Did anything you wear back then affect you being raped? Like, were you just dressing as a little girl? Were you dressing provocatively to maybe promote that? Even though you shouldn't have been in the situation, but how was your dress attire back then?
Back then, my dress attire was a teenager, because I was still living at home. So my mama didn't go for, you know, dressing like a... Okay. Yeah.
So you wanted to dress like a...
Skank? No, not yet.
With the shorts that you know, girls be wearing. Okay.
No, actually, I would say over the summertime, I did wear really short shorts. My mama would tell me, like, I don't care, you know, if you are, you know, 17 going on 18, because I thought I was grown. So yeah, when I was 17, I did start to wear short shorts. But both times when I got raped, I wasn't wearing short shorts. I was dressed like a normal teenager. I was dressed regular shirt, jeans. It wasn't tight. I wasn't dressed like that. But I did dress in short shorts, like I said, sometimes over the summer. But my mama, she did tell me, go back in the house and change. So I did try it, though. So trust me, I did. Okay.
And the reason I asked that, because I'm not justifying what he did, of course, but certain things can promote situations. Mm-hmm. If, like, I'll give you an example. When I used to be, like, real fit, I used to purposely run around, go jogging and stuff with my shirt off, because I wanted people to see my body. And so when I would go jogging and running around, then guess what happened? Women would be riding by in their car, and they would be honking, and they would, you know, sometimes they would literally stop in the middle of the street to, you know, to look at me. So me running with my shirt off was promoting that type of behavior, what was, you know, already within them. So
yeah, you put out sexual energy.
Yeah, as you know, people talk. Yeah, as people say. That's why I asked that. So you pretty much covered how you felt about it back then. How did you feel about it afterwards in life? Let's go with before you got saved. You know, 20s and stuff like that, when you really out here
wilding.
Yeah.
How did I feel about?
How did you feel about those situations? Did it come back up in your life later, like, you know, in your 20s, 25, you know, stuff in that age, or you just like kind of like They say you buried it.
I buried it.
Okay.
I buried it. I didn't let it affect me. I know there's people out there that have been, raped and molested, and they decide they want to be with the same gender. That didn't happen to me. I just literally buried it. I was like, you know what? I mean, because I didn't see those people again. My family I did see again, of course, and I still, see them here and there, but I've forgiven my family for that, and I've forgiven the dudes that did that, but no, I didn't really let it affect me. I buried it.
So why'd you bury it instead of? Did you bury it in the sense of, okay, this is dead, or you buried it in the sense of, these are skeletons in my closet and they still need to be dealt with?
No, I buried it like it was dead. I buried it like it was dead. Two of my cousins that had molested me brought it up again. And I wasn't saved yet, and they apologized and explained to me that they had been molested by one of them by their stepfather, and then the other one by our uncles, and their stepfather was my uncle. So in both situations, it was my family, grown men, molested my female cousins, and because of that, they did that to me. So I understood. So I was like, you know what, I never had uncles molest me, thank the Lord. I never had no grown man take advantage of me. In my case, it was all children, which doesn't make it better, but with children, like, well, they children. I was a kid, they were kids. I'm pretty sure something happened to them. And I over the years, I thought about it. I was like, something had to happen to them for them to do that to me, because I know they love me. I know they're not just going after cousins to do that to. And so when they told me that when we were grown, I understood. I was like, I get it. But the male cousin, he Lord help him, he still got issues. But yeah. And then the other two, the people that raped me, I haven't seen them in like forever.
And this is why y'all hear me say things like, the future is the past coming to pass. Because what you do right now and what you did in the past, it does affect your future. If I go out and I get paid, let's say tomorrow, and I spend my whole check, then guess what that's going to affect? That's going to affect the future, because my wife may need some money. The rent may be due. Bills may be due. But if I spent my whole check, then how can I take care of it? And what happens if the bills are behind? So those different situations that she went through and what happened to those children, those were seeds that were obviously planted in those children to continue to spread unrighteousness and ultimately Luciferianism, because that's how the Luciferians get down with children. I ain't finna get into all that. If you know about it, you know about it. If you don't, hey, it may not be meant for you or whatnot. But let's go.
I'm sure they're negatively affected by it to this day.
That's why I asked you about, you said you buried it. Did you like bury it? That's why I asked you, did you bury it, or did you like just bury it like it's skeletons in the closet? Because a lot of people, they bury it, but it's not really dead to them. It still comes back at a later time and affects them in maybe relationships, in the way that they carry themselves. And we have to understand these things, because I would say we have to understand these things so we can discern when we're dealing with somebody and bring this to light and be like, okay, why are they acting like this? Well, maybe something happened to them. And some of you right now, you're sitting there like, you're probably crying, you're probably having thoughts and different things, because some of you have went through situations, or it may have very well been you that was the molester. I don't know. That's between you and God. My only hope is that this message, this video, my wife being honest, me asking her honest questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm a husband. I never asked her to go into detail about it. She told me about it. This is the deepest we ever went in it, as far as she giving me details, because
I don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's nothing really to talk about it. She told me about it, like, okay, blase.
But I will say this: it is easier for it, to me, in my opinion, it's easier to let it go and bury it and forgive when it was a child. Like, I know when I was a child, they were children too. Like, none of them that did this to me was over the age of 12. None of them. When I was 9, my cousin who did that to me was 12. And, you know, every incident before that, they were all, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, they were little children. Now, had they been 20, 30, you know, 40s, like, the people that did that to them were grown, you know. But for me, it was easy. It was easier for me because I knew, well, you know, I just felt like there was a reason. You know, I didn't think they were just doing that because they, you know, were trying to, you know, mess up my childhood. I didn't think that. And the men who raped me, I don't even know what to say about that.
So the molestation, the rape was worse than you said the molestation.
Yes, because they were men. They knew what they were doing. They were grown.
Okay. What is your mindset about the whole ordeal now compared to then? I guess you can ask. I should say, what's your mindset in this present? Because we did the past, then we went to about the 20s. What about now in regards to you having actual salvation? So, you know, how's your mindset different or whatnot?
How's my mindset different?
Or is your mindset different in regards to how you were feeling before and everything you went through back then, up until the point you got saved, and then now, you know, all these years have passed, you know?
I mean, I feel like after I got saved and I look back on it, I feel sorry for them, you know, because none of them are saved. So I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for their souls, you know. And not because of what they did to me, just, you know, just in general, you know, I feel sorry for them because to have gone through all of that, to have been molested and then turn around and molest others, which I may not be the only person that they molested, you know, and the men that raped me, I'm probably not the only woman that they raped. If they felt comfortable enough to rape a 17-year-old, you know, they might have done that to other girls, other women too. So I feel sorry for them. That's where I sit now. Well, back then I didn't feel sorry for them. Back then it was, as a child, I mean, I was just confused. I was just like, you know, whatever. And then when I was grown, it was like, then I started asking questions like, why? Like, why did they do that to me? When I was a child, I didn't ask why. I just thought it was strange. But yeah, in my 20s, I asked why. Why did they do this? Like, what happened to them to make them do that to me? And then when I got saved, then it was like, I feel sorry for them because if your own stepfather or your own uncle, your own, you know, your own family member feels comfortable enough to do that to you, like, and no one is around to protect you, and then on top of that, you're not saved. I feel sorry for them. I do.
Okay. How were you able to let go of that pain? Let me ask this question first. Did those situations, did they affect your self-esteem, your psyche, and your worth as a woman, as mankind, womankind?
Possibly. I mean, as a child, I don't know, but I know I had poor self-esteem as a child, so maybe that did affect my self-esteem, because I mean, from as far back as I can remember, I always thought that I was a ugly child, and, you know, my family would always tell me how pretty I was, and I'd be like, you just tell me that because, you know, I'm your daughter or I'm your niece. You know, I didn't believe them, and so maybe that did have something to do with it, you know. I don't know. It could have very well affected how I saw myself, because I didn't see myself the way I should have until I was born again, which I was in my 30s.
Okay, and piggybacking off of that question, which is the question I was going to ask before that, how were you able to let go of that pain? Because you got two different events. You really think about it, because at one point you said you buried it, but you weren't saved. So
Right.
It's a difference between burying it when you're not saved and burying it when, letting go of something when you are saved?
How did I let go of the pain when I wasn't saved? I just didn't think about it, which is one of those things, like, I just didn't think about it. But what did help me was when the cousins called me and apologized. That helped. That really helped. And it was like, oh, okay, I get it. Now that's why they did that to me. Because remember I said I was asking myself why? Like, why they do that to me? And so that helped me when they apologized. And then after being born again, of course, seeing everything in a whole different light, that helped me to really just kill it when it came to the rape, because I would say I definitely let go of the molestation long before I did the rape. The rape thing was just, I don't know, it took me a while. It took me pretty much getting saved to forget. I ain't gonna say forget, because it's not something you really forget, but definitely forgive and move past and don't hold grudges and stuff.
Okay. Now you said your mom found out pretty much when you were grown.
Mm-hmm.
How did she react to that?
Oh my gosh, she was so upset. She sounded like she was crying. I think I told her on the phone. Yeah, I told her on the phone. She was hurt. She was blaming herself. She was like, why didn't, she just couldn't understand, like, why didn't I tell her before? How could she not see it? She was blaming herself. How could I not see this? And the topic came up because I was telling her how I would never let my children, spend alone time with their cousins on either side of the family. I said, your side, they're not spending time at anybody's house. Not without me. If I'm there, I'm being. If my children are at a cousin's house, I'm gonna be there, and my children are sleeping with me. They're not sleeping in the room with the little girl cousins or little boy cousin. I don't care. And that's how I got on that subject, telling her that. I said, because when I was little, y'all let me stay and such. And oh my gosh, she was like, what? She couldn't believe it. And then when I told her, that it happened on multiple occasions, and was this cousin and that cousin and this cousin, she couldn't believe it. She was very upset. Not upset with me, but she was just upset as a mother at herself.
Understandable. Do you or did you hold them, meaning your parents, at fault at any point in time? I told you. I told y'all we're gonna keep it real here. Y'all know how I do, even with my wife.
I put it like this: past tense, no, I did not. I never did.
She's seeing how she gonna answer, because she know her mom. Her mom is subscribed to the channel, so she may watch it.
No, that's not why I'm answering it like this. I wasn't even thinking about that. But now you say it, better be careful what I say. No, I'm just playing.
Just be real. That's all
I know I am. I'm telling the truth. Past tense, no. Like growing up, when I was a child, when I was a teenager, when I was in my 20s. No, I did not think at all to hold them accountable. But now, being born again, yes, I do think, they should have been paying more attention. They should have, you can't just trust, because that's your brother and that's your brother's kids, and your brother's kids, they're kids, they're going to play. No, you can't do that. Oh, that's my sister's children, and, they're little. It doesn't matter, and I don't tell, Mama, if you're watching this, I don't blame you, Mama. Like, I know you didn't know. Like, obviously, if she knew, like, she would have, snatched me out of there. She wouldn't have let me sleep in the bed with my cousins, at this city, that city, this state. She wouldn't have. And then with the male cousin who molested me in the back seat, and she was in the front seat. His mom knew that he was like that. I didn't know that. I found out years later. The family was like, yeah, such and such. Okay, well, if y'all all knew that, why you got him back here with me? So I was 4. 4. That's little. I wouldn't know. Like, I wouldn't be like, hey, Mama, such and such touches on all his female cousins. Can I not ride in the back seat with him? I was 4. What was I gonna say? So, yeah, my mom, my dad, they should have They should have paid more attention. But my daddy, he, you know, a lot of this stuff, I'm saying that he knew. Maybe he didn't know. I don't know. Maybe he was just too busy chasing women and money to be paying attention to what was going on with me. But yes, I do believe that my parents should have
hold some type of accountability to it.
Yes, as every parent.
And it's interesting that her mindset in regards to the accountability didn't come until later. You know, after it was pretty much dead to her. What about before we got married?
What?
Like the time frame where me and you were talking. Like, not like...
What about it?
10
What's
years,
your question?
Did those situations of rape and molest, like, affect your thoughts in regards to marrying me? Like, oh my gosh, we might get married, and, you know, you have so many emotions and thoughts coming back. Did those situations ever come up in your mind in regards to what I went through with me and you may affect my relationship with my possible future husband with me?
No.
Okay.
No, because I wasn't going to let it, because I had already put it behind me years before we had met.
Okay. That kind of question piggybacks off of that one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Did it affect your marriage to me after we got married, both physically and spiritually, at any point in our marriage?
No.
Okay.
No. I think it affects people the most when they're not saved. You know, a lot of people, you know, are false converts. They're false converts going to church, false converts reading their Bible, false converts, you know, doing the Christian, you know, looking like Christians, but they hadn't been converted in here, in their heart. So I think that's why the majority of people are holding on to, you know, I'm not saying, you know, you're just going to just instantly be healed and everything. I mean, it took a long time. This stuff happened when I was, you know, a child. I'm 38. You know, and I wasn't completely healed from it until I was like 31. So that's like a lifetime almost to be getting over something.
So in regards to us, you pretty much came into it with the clean slate. You didn't carry that baggage because it was dead, because you had already given it to
the
Christ.
Lord. Yep, I did.
So it couldn't. This is why I say these different things. You didn't give power to it. And, you know, when I be talking about zombies and stuff like that, sometimes I'm literally talking about zombies. And other times I'm talking about situations and stuff like that. Now, she could have easily brought that, we could say, baggage and, you know, what happened to her into our marriage, and it affected, you know, our marriage in regards to, you know, many aspects. It could have affected it spiritually. It could have affected it, you know, physically. But I mean, spiritually and physically, we both good in that area. We enjoy both of them aspects. We put it like that.
But I do have more to say.
Okay, go ahead.
The rape, not the first one, but the second one that happened when I was 17, that actually resulted in pregnancy. And that pregnancy was terminated, my decision, my choice, by me at 17 years old. And I had an abortion. We didn't talk about that.
So which gets to the next question, y'all. Hey, we keep it real here. Y'all know how I do. That's, you know, I know how I do. And I expect the same thing from my wife. And I never forced her to give me any answers. I told her before we did this interview, I'm going to be asking some questions that may make you uncomfortable. And it's funny because when she was when I told her, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready." But then now I'm asking her, I see her, she's up there like, she was nervous at first. I could hear it in her voice. I could hear she was like.
Just ask the question.
It's different. But the next question kind of like goes with what you just said. How many abortions have you had? Now we get on the topic of abortion.
How many questions is on this paper?
Enough to break some strongholds that some people are that they have around them, and enlighten some people, because these topics are not addressed from a biblical perspective. You hear the world talking about it, and then they got the solution. You need to go to a therapist. Yeah, you do need to go to a therapist. You need to go to a therapist that has the spirit of God dwelling in them to help you to overcome and destroy these strongholds that have been holding all type of people, black, white, down, because they don't know how to deal with these different situations. Pornography, all that stuff ties together. I used to be in bondage to pornography, which affected my view in regards to how I looked at women. Oh, she can't do that.
We can do an interview on that. I'll ask you the questions, and I won't tell you what I'm gonna ask you. Yeah, be on the lookout for that one.
Woo! How many abortions have you had?
I've had 2 abortions in my life.
Okay, and we know that one of them.
I was 17 years old after the boyfriend raped me in front of his niece.
And why did you get them? Why'd you get? We know why you got the.
Well, they were pretty much the same reason, but I'll tell you my reason. The first guy, rape and pregnancy, I was 17. I was in 12th grade, high school. You know, I felt like I had all this stuff going for me. You know, I'm on the track team and the choir. I have this and that. You know, I can go down a list of all the things that I was doing, but I won't. But in my mind, maybe I should share it because, you know, those things at the time were important to me. I was in theater arts. I was on the AB honor roll. I had a 4-year scholarship to university in Texas. Like, I was doing very well in school. So in my mind, a baby would put a halt to me going to college, or, you know, put a halt to me pursuing music, because like I said, I was in the choir. We had already been to New York. We were doing a lot of things, and I was just, you know, so busy in school. I was so busy. Like, I was so busy, I didn't have time for him. So I don't even know why I was even with him, but whatever. And I remember being so angry with him, like why would you do this? You know, but you know, I was already having sex with him, you know, even though, you know, we were having protected sex still, you know, fornication leads to fill in the blank, you know. And so I was so mad. I didn't want his children. You know, I remember thinking that, like, I don't want his children. You know, he's evil. He raped me. You know, he don't deserve, you know, a life with me. He don't deserve, you know, children. You know, like, I put all that on him. Like, you don't deserve this. You know, I didn't deserve children. And I remember I had to tell my mama, you know, because who was gonna pay for it? I didn't have the money. And I remember she told me, she said, you know, whatever you want to do, if you want to have the baby, I'll help you raise it. I'm here for you. You know, don't feel like you have to get rid of the baby. And she said, and if you're made your mind up that you want to have an abortion, I support you too. And either way, I support you. I remember her just, you know, putting the decision on me. You know, she didn't force me to have an abortion. She didn't force me to keep it. She said, whatever you want to do. And so I knew before I'd even told her. That I was pregnant, that I wanted an abortion. I knew, because I was so mad at him. You know, my anger was so focused at him. You know, he messing up my future. And so I remember I told him, you know, what I was gonna do, and he got mad, and he said, but I'm going to the army, and I'm gonna take care of you, and I'm gonna take care of the baby, and, you know, we're gonna live this, you know, this great life. You don't have to do this. And I was just so mad at him. I was like, no. And so I did. I went and had an abortion at 17 years old. And of course, I'm pretty sure you had to have your parents' consent. Mama came with me, so it wasn't like I was with it by myself. She was with me when I was 17. And then fast forward 10 years later, when I was 27, this was not a case of rape. This was a case of me wilding out and got pregnant by this guy I was seeing. And he was a drug dealer. He was a rapper and a drug dealer. And he was like real drug dealer. He wasn't like one of those, you know, here and there. Like, no, he was like, he had done prison before for selling drugs. And I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I was so mad at myself. I wasn't mad at him, I was mad at myself. Because I was like, man, and at the time I was in the military, I was in the Air Force. I was doing music, like hardcore, performing all the time. Like every week I had shows, just here and there, flying across the country and just doing shows and stuff. So I knew at that time I still wasn't safe. I knew at that time that I didn't want to have a baby. I didn't want to have his baby, and I didn't want to have a baby, period. Whether it was his or somebody else's, it wouldn't matter. But for sure, because he was a felon and a drug dealer, and I just couldn't see. I was like, can I see myself raising a baby with this dude? I couldn't see it, you know, because he had 2 kids and he wasn't really involved in their life. So I was just like, man, this is terrible. Like, why did I do this? You know, why did I get involved with this dude? And then I told him, I was like, you know, I'm pregnant. And he was like, whatever you want to do, I don't care. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have an abortion. And then I did. So this happened like 10 years apart, 17, 27. And yeah, pretty much the same reason. I'm doing too much. You know, I got too much stuff going on. I'm too successful. I don't want to have a baby with him.
Do you agree with the advice your mother she gave back then?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because I mean, I'm saved now. I mean, of course, back then I would have been like, yes, but no. I mean, if my daughter was in the same situation, of course I would be like, no, we don't believe in murder. We don't believe in abortion, even if it is, you know, rape, even if it is a dude that's, I'm just gonna be honest, a dude who's a loser. It's my baby monitor going off, making all that noise. Even if he is a loser, you know, because God can do anything, you know, and you don't know who that baby is. I mean, regardless, like, I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in that. So of course I would tell my daughter, like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I would force her to keep the baby, but I would let her know, like, look, if you go through with this is between you and the Lord, because I'm not approving it. I would tell her, you know. That's me now. The old me probably would have said, well, oh yeah, he's a loser. Yeah, you need to get rid of that baby, because all he gonna do is bring you down, and you gonna be dealing with his baby daddy issues for the next 18 years. Mama didn't say none of that, so I'm not saying, you know, she said that. I'm saying what the old me would have said.
And the Bible does address how to handle those situations in regards to if a woman is raped and a child is conceived, for those who try to bring up that point to support abortion. And when you look at the stats, majority of abortions are a result of fornication. I think it was only like 1% of abortions total. And we know the number, they said about 14, 15 million. So only one.
I think it was less than 1%.
Less than 1%?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Less than 1% or 1% of abortions are a result of rape or incest. So the issue of abortion is, as many people have said, and I've said it on Facebook, it's a sin issue. It's a fornication issue. Because now you don't want the child because she just said it.
Mm-hmm.
That baby's affecting my life. I can't do what I want to do.
Right. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was raped. Zero.
And that, my ladies and gentlemen, is what we call idolatry. I don't want this situation to affect me.
Right. My life is more important than this baby's life.
Even though the child was conceived because of his choice that they both made.
Mm-hmm.
So that's idolatry and that's witchcraft. Of course, she didn't, have the knowledge and wisdom that she has now, because maybe she would have made a different choice. But it is what it is. She's now born again, saved, and she got 2 here, and she got 2 in heaven that's waiting on her. So she'll get to see them children. She ain't never seen them, which would be interesting. I think we covered that. Because you said it didn't. Making sure I don't miss nothing, because a lot of these questions I don't have to ask because you already kind of like covered it.
The abortions affected me.
Oh,
okay. I'm sorry.
I love my paper. So, okay, since you brought it up, because I don't have it, I was trying to put stuff together. How did the abortions, or I should say, did or did not the abortions affect you?
Yes, both of the abortions affected me, but more so after I got saved. I'm telling you, I didn't think about. Okay, I'm not gonna say I didn't think about. I'm not gonna say I didn't think about the abortions when I wasn't saved, but it didn't like. I don't know. It didn't eat at me. It didn't convict me. I didn't feel like really, really, really repentant of it. It was like one of those things like, yeah, I wasn't ready to be a mom yet, and then when it happened again, like, yeah, I still wasn't ready to be a mom yet. But then once I was born again, and I had a teaching job. I was teaching music in Hollywood, California. I was doing music and stuff. That's where I got saved at, by the way, in Hollywood. I was teaching these middle school students, and I remember thinking about it, like, right now my child would be 15 years old, my child would be 15 years old. And there was one student, he reminded me of what I thought my child would have looked like. And so every time I see him, I'll be like,
it might have been.
Huh? Yeah, it might have. He might have, because he was light skinned. He had curly hair like David. His hair was a lighter brown. It wasn't as dark as David's hair. I'm pointing because David's over there. I don't know. He had features like my family, And sometimes I would ask him different questions, like, where's your family from? I don't know why I would do that. Just weird, but I don't know. I thought about it. I would look at him and be like, my son. Like, I didn't even know if I was having, what I was having, because the first and the second abortion, I had them at 6 and 7 weeks. So I was like not showing either one. I wasn't showing at all. And you can't tell if you're having a boy or girl that early anyway. And so I just imagined in my mind that, that's what my son would look like. So I thought about it, and this was after I got saved. And this was like the same year that I got saved. So it started coming back in my mind, and it hadn't even come up like that before. And I don't know, I would just think about it. And I would think about I would just think like, the Lord is probably not going to give me any children. I really thought that, because I was like, I didn't, terminated the life of 2 of the children that he did give me. So I just thought that, And so, of course, when I was courting Kelson, I was thinking to myself, like, I hope you don't want no kids, because Lord probably didn't give me none. So that did affect. The abortions affected my mind in regards to him, but not the actual rape or molestation. No, the abortion did, because that was me. Like, what they did to me wasn't a sin on me. Them molesting me or raping me, that wasn't on me. But me having the abortion, that was on me. So I carried that with me, and so that's why it affected me in regards to us. And even when we got pregnant, I was just like, really? I had to have a talk with the Lord. Like, Lord, you forgave me for real? Like, yeah.
How can situations of rape and molestation be avoided?
I mean, there's some situations that you just ain't gonna avoid. You ain't gonna avoid, but simply, I would say, the Lord. You know, when we love people. Maybe I should speak from the other perspective and not from the perspective of somebody who's gonna do that. Speaking as a woman, because I'm a woman. Women, we have to carry ourselves as beloved daughters of the Father. We have to carry ourselves like women of God. And if we carry ourselves like Jezebel, it makes it easier. The temptation, to take advantage of a woman, it makes it easier for a man to do that. And so we have to carry ourselves as ladies, and we have to look at ourselves as precious, because I know when I was younger, I thought I was like superwoman, like I didn't care about going places by myself. It didn't bother me. I was like, whatever, ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me, but that's just not smart. You have to look at yourself like you're worth, you have to look at yourself worth higher than, I don't know. I it's hard for me to put it into words, because I know teenagers these days would be like, well, I am worth. Yeah, but you walking around like
they're worth,
like these little girls that walk up and down this street with they tight pants on and super short shorts. And I bet if I asked them, do you know your worth, they'd probably roll their eyes at me.
So I can help you out a little bit. Their worth in Christ.
Yeah, their worth in Christ.
Because the difference between
what the world says worth,
Yeah.
So you have to dress ladylike. You have to dress modestly. Cover it up. Don't be letting stuff hang out and wearing tight clothes and short shorts and short skirts and all that stuff, and just all this, too much, makeup. And I would say to be a lady. That's what'll help you avoid the situations. That's one. And two,
that would help avoid the rape.
Right, and the molestation. And two, who you hang around, because man, I used to put myself in the worst of the worst situations. No matter how I was dressed, I would put myself in really, really foolish situations because of who I was hanging around. Don't be a follower. Like, please don't be a follower. Just because your friends are going to do this, do that, and deep down is not smart, don't do it. Just be like, no, you're lame. I'm lame. Bye. Because you end up, molested or raped or beat up or something, and you could have avoided that situation because you were hanging out with people that you ain't had no business hanging out with. So I would say definitely avoid people that I don't care if they're your homegirl or your cousin or your favorite, whatever. Just, I would say stay away from troublemakers. Stay away from people that's not in Christ. I know that's hard to do these days, but to me that's the best way to avoid, trouble.
What about the molestation?
From family? I mean, if you're a little bitty child, there ain't no way around that. Ain't no way, because I couldn't avoid it when I was 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. I mean, the best thing I can say is to speak up. But most likely children are not going to be watching this video. Grown-ups are going to be watching this video.
But the parents still have to be able to protect their children. So
and the parents that are watching this video, you heard my story. My parents, they didn't know. And I see that all the time. All the time, people are trusting their children around other people's children. I can't stand it. It makes me sick because I know what happened to me and what happened to my cousins, how they were molested, you know, and I know if it happened in my family, I know it's happening everywhere. And they don't think nothing of it. You know, yeah, I drop my kids off with, you know, so-and-so, and they have a good time. You don't even know what they're doing.
So let me word the question better. What advice would you give to parents to help avoid situations of molestation?
Go against the grain of the world. Go against the grain of the world. Everybody goes by that saying. What's that saying? Don't shelter your children. Shelter your children, okay? Because the Lord shelters us. There's many verses in the Bible. Go read Psalms where the Lord, where the Bible says that the Lord is our shelter. He shelters us. Verse after verse. He's our refuge. If the Lord is our Father and He shelters us and He's our refuge and He gives us parents, an earthly father, then the Lord would expect earthly fathers to shelter their children just the way He shelters us. Why would you listen to the world that says follow your heart when the Bible says don't follow your heart? The world says don't shelter your children when the Bible clearly says the Lord shelters His children. Shelter your children because that's the only way you're going to protect them. What does shelter mean? Protect. So you're not going to protect your children? That means you don't love them. And who cares what people think? Who cares? Well, you always got your kids. Well, I should always have my kids. Hello? Why you don't let your kids, you know, hang out with so-and-so? My kids do hang out with so-and-so, but they ain't staying the night with so-and-so. I'm going to be present. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea what children will do to other children, especially children who have been molested and raped. They will, because they don't know any better. And they're not going to look at your kids and say, oh, her kids are special, so I'm not going to mess with her kids. That's my cousin. I'm not going to do that. 9 times out of 10, it is cousins. 9 times out of 10, it is the best friend. You know, I shouldn't even talk about this. But my best friend's daddy tried to molest me. But by that time, I was 15, 16, so I was like, no, buddy. But he tried. He did. You know, but I spoke up. I was like, no, you're not, no. And he didn't do it again. And I told her, I was like, your daddy was feeling on me. And I told him to get his hands off of me. And she got mad and said, well, your daddy's feeling on me. Okay, well, go tell my mama. You know, like, by that time I was older. You know, I was 15, 16. So I was like, nah. But you need to watch your kids. You need to be there for your kids. You don't need to just drop your kids off because that's your favorite cousin or that's they auntie or, you know, I need a break. So I'm going to drop my kids off at so-and-so. They said I can bring them over there. I need a break. I need to get these kids out of my hair. And you don't even know what they doing. If my kids, if something happened to my kids, they would tell me. How you know? How you know they would tell you? Did you tell when you were molested?
And also we have to remember that what this war is against, you know, spirits. So the spirit, if it's operating through that child, that spirit ain't thinking about oh, this is a child. The spirit just want to get his rocks off, you know, whatever, however, whatnot.
Right, destroy.
And even
kill, steal, and destroy.
And even if that spirit has that, sometimes we have to understand that a lot of spirits that have been around for a long time, so they have a better understanding of who a person may be than that person themselves because that person hasn't grown up. So the spirit that was operating in in her cousins, they could have already knew who she was and said, okay, I'm going to destroy this image that God has made her to be because I know who she's going to be.
Right, and trying to push me towards the lesbian side because I already didn't think I was pretty. Right, I was already a tomboy because I had all these brothers. You know, I didn't wear makeup. I didn't dress really girly. You know, so I had an image about myself that was really negative. And I didn't like being a girl. I was like, man, the boys get to have fun. I got to stay in the house and wash dishes. I got to fold the clothes. I had to do all these chores because my mom was old fashioned. So she would make me be in the house cooking and cleaning. And so I hated it. I hated cooking. I hated cleaning. Anything that related to do with being a good woman. I hated it because my brothers would get to be outside playing football or basketball or doing whatever they wanted to do outside, and I was forced to stay inside and do all the chores in the house. And then when I was done, I could go outside and play with them. And so I didn't like being a girl. And then on top of that, I was molested by girls. You know what I'm saying? I don't like my self-image. So that affected me a lot when it came to self-image. You know, like I looked at myself completely different than I know the Lord looked at me. So them spirits, I'm pretty sure they was like, yeah, we gon', you know. And then at school, the people at school, my classmates, would be like, you know, she gay. She lesbian because I didn't have a boyfriend. Does that make me gay because I didn't have a boyfriend? You know, and so when I did have the opportunity to have sex, I did it. So I know those devils was at work trying to mess me up. They was work early. 4 years old, that's early.
And we discussing these things because they're important, because how can we combat and fight what the enemy is doing if we're not even aware of these different situations and how far this really goes back? You know, it's deeper than just a situation happening. A lot of stuff is goes back centuries and years and just farther than we even realize and understand. But this depends on your level of learning in regards to what you need to understand it. If you need to understand it from, or just go back years, you need to understand it with, or just go back centuries, you need to understand it. Just go back before we even came here. Then, if that, whatever your level of understanding is, understand whatever you need to understand, so we can combat this foolishness that's going on, because we don't want to speak out. We don't want to say anything, you know, because of you know, whatever, we want to protect family, or you know, we are ourselves ashamed, or the devil is condemning us to not say anything because people are going to laugh at us. Oh, my friends are going to laugh at me.
So,
you know, all these different factors. You know,
speaking out might help somebody else to speak out.
Exactly.
And another thing, you asked me, did I have any advice for parents? And I did give some advice, but I just thought about something else. School. When I was in school, I remember teachers molesting certain, like sleep, like having sex with students. So don't think that your child is exempt because they're your child. You know what? They better not do that. You know, I'll blah 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 blah. You have no idea what's going on. I don't trust public schools. I don't trust schools. Period. If it ain't me and my husband teaching our children, because I'm 38. This was like 20 something years ago. We're not talking about we're not talking you know, right now. We're talking 20 something years ago. If it was going on 20 something years ago, then you know what's going on right now, because things only get worse. Like, I knew teachers that were sleeping with students, having sex with students. If them parents would have found out, or if the principal would have found out, or the authorities would have found out, people would have been, CPS would have been getting called, and the school probably been getting shut down. I'm telling you, there was teachers sleeping with students, male teachers sleeping with female students. So you need to watch your daughter. And children be going to school dressed one way, and they get to school and they change their clothes and dress another kind of way. How do I know?
Like you said, it was years ago, so you already know how it is.
Right. I mean, I could tell. Oh my God, I could tell you some sick stories that went on when I was in school, and all this stuff you be hearing about the little rainbow thing where the girls put on different color lipstick and give the little boys oral sex. That was going on when I was in school. So what you think they're doing now?
I heard it.
Yeah. So you better watch your kids, shelter your kids, and your best bet is homeschool if you can. Find a way. Because they are making it to where, you know, if they deem your child has a certain thing, ADD, ADHD, or whatever, they can force you to put your child on medication, and you can't do nothing about it.
Hey, we're gonna disappear before they talk about we dropping everything, and that's just us. You know, we're prepared for anything. We know the world that we are living in.
Right. They already trying to force vaccines and force this and force that, and so you need to protect your children, protect them from these pervert teachers and your nieces and nephews who might try something. Just because they 5 or 6 don't mean nothing.
You don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, you think about the signs there, just that we don't pay attention to it because we're so preoccupied with our own lives. You know, we're so busy doing this, doing that, or whatnot, and you know, we're not paying attention to the signs. Yet we're always looking for a sign, which is ironic. What about abortion? How can situations of abortion be avoided?
Well, I would say the only way really is to avoid fornication, because the majority of the abortion cases are from fornication. They're not from rape, you know, so I can't say, well, you know, if you get raped, don't have an abortion. That's usually not the case. It's always, you know, a boyfriend. You know, a boyfriend, or a one night stand or whatever it is usually never rape. So sin is the outcome. That's really the only way that I see it that you can avoid abortion. And if you do get pregnant, you know, you have to have the mind of Christ. Like, well, hey, I laid down in that bed, so I'm gonna take care of this baby.
So for people, what you're saying is, for people that have conceived a child in fornication and may not be saved, hopefully they haven't conceived a child being saved, but you know, we all deal with different situations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we know the majority of the time is, you know, when people are not truly saved.
Mm-hmm.
Is for them to come to Christ. Like if they're pregnant right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're debating that they want to have a abortion, you're telling them to come to Christ right now, and Christ will help them work through it.
Definitely, yes.
And give them the love that they need, so they can give that child that same love in a situation that they don't really want.
That's really the only way. Is the Lord. You can't do it by yourself. Because trying to do it by ourselves, I mean, a lot of times we'll come to the conclusion of, oh, I can't do it by myself, so I just have an abortion. You know, you need the Lord, because He'll teach you how to do more than just provide. It teach you how to love the child and raise the child, and teach you how to feed yourself. You know, feed your family, feed your children. Teach them, you know, to where you're not dependent on public schools. Teach you how to, you know, give them good health. That way you're not dependent on the medical system, because we truly don't need the medical system, but because we've been bamboozled and we don't trust the Lord, we think that we need the medical system. So you gotta put your trust in the Lord. He'll show you everything that you need. He'll give you everything that you need, and you won't regret it.
And I got one more question. How has your mindset changed in regards to how you viewed abortion then, and how you view it now, having gone through it, two of them?
I would never, ever do it again. My views then was, you know, any reason to have an abortion, really, because you don't want one, because you don't want a baby, because this, that, you know, fill in the blank. Like, I was pro-abortion. I wasn't one of those people who was gonna be out there with signs, you know, saying pro-choice and it's my body, my decision. I wasn't one of them types. I just, you know, didn't look at it like it was a big deal, because it was like, you know, it's not like you're I don't know, I didn't view the baby as a baby. You know, I viewed it as a in the medical terms, a fetus. You know, until they get a certain point, then it's a baby. You know, you feel the baby moving, it's a baby. You know, it's got a heartbeat, it's a baby. But before that, you know, so I viewed it differently. You know, and now I view it like, well, you pregnant. You know, God put a baby there, but God opened your womb. That's a baby. I don't care if you can't see it on a microscope. If the Lord put a baby there, that's a life, conception. And so I see it totally different. I'm pro-choice. I would go stand in front of abortion clinics and hold signs. I don't care. I'll go in the abortion clinic. I don't care. Like, I really advocate for life. I'm pro-life. I'm not pro-choice.
I thought you said, I understood what you said. I think you said I'm pro-choice.
Sorry, I'm pro-life. I'm not pro-choice. Pro-choice means, choice. I have a choice if I want to do this or not. No, I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life. No matter what the case. If a person is raped, I don't think that rape is a reason to have an abortion. Because, like we've seen, there's less than 1% of people who actually get abortions after being raped. Most of the women that go down there, they went down there because they had sex. And now they didn't want the baby. So, yeah, I'm definitely pro-life. And I would tell any woman my story. And I would tell any woman that feels like it's hopeless, the father's not in my life, or he's a deadbeat, or whatever the reason, like if the Lord allowed it, so trust him to get you through it. So that's how I'm definitely different now, because the Lord said, "Thou shalt not kill," and he didn't put a dot unless it's a baby you don't want. There's no extra stuff there. Thou shalt not kill. Period. Okay.
So, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we close it out?
Protect your kids. Protect your babies. And don't be so trusting of family. Don't be so trusting of family and close friends. I can't stress that enough, because people do it because they don't think twice about it. But I'm telling you. And think about yourself too. Like, I shouldn't even have to say that, because I know so many women who've been molested and raped. Like, you a woman, you've been there. Most women have been molested or raped. Most. I'm not saying 100%, but there's a whole lot of us that can say that they've been molested or raped and they didn't tell nobody. Okay, so then that means I don't have to tell you this. So then protect your children. Protect them. And don't wait till they 12. Protect them from birth. Because the spirits, the evil spirits, they don't care. I don't care how old your child is. And choose wisely. Choose wisely your forever mate. Because, man, I know that's a whole other video, but you marry the wrong person and have babies for the wrong person. Ain't nothing you can do. Ain't nothing you can do to take that back.
That's all you got.
And trust the Lord. Trust the Lord. Don't just say it, but do it. Trust him.
So, there you have it from a woman who actually went through it. Got the unholy Godhead, rape, molestation, and abortion. Should jump out, go do something real quick. No, I'm saying you had the whole unholy Godhead, rape, molestation, and abortion.
Yeah, all three.
Been through it all. Literally been through the fire, and here she stands as a strong woman of God. One of the main reasons that I married her. Besides,
Well, thank you.
I ain't do too bad. I don't think I did too bad. But even if y'all in the video and say, hey, I don't like her, she ugly. Guess what? You ain't gotta sleep with her. You ain't married to her. You ain't gotta look at her every day. I do. So hey, you can think what you want to. I chose who I chose, and you chose who you chose. Enjoy your portion. I'm definitely going to continue to enjoy mine.
Amen.
But I mean, it don't matter anyway, because hey, we all gonna, at some point in time, we're gonna get old and ain't gonna look the same. But I'm gonna get a new glorified body. So she gonna get a new glorified body too. You think this something right here? You think this beard is something? You ain't seen nothing yet. You think this something? Or my bad. I think this is something. I ain't seen nothing yet. Everybody gonna be decked out, beautiful. And this is what we want for each and every person that's watching this video, to come into the true love of God. And hopefully that is, if you're listening to this ministry, by us being honest, being real, speaking about these different things that a lot of people don't want to address. And, for me personally, since this is my ministry, speaking the topics that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear them, because the very messages that I give, I must first eat them. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it either sometimes too, but I must be obedient to what the Father has called me to do, and here I am. So hopefully you're doing the same thing. But with that, we're going to go ahead and close it out. God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know,
the truth is not debated, it is declared.
And with that, we're out. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If it was edifying to you, be sure to do your part and share it on all your social media outlets, websites, and forums. Your help is greatly appreciated to help fight this war and reach lost souls. Don't forget to like, dislike, and/or subscribe. Be sure to also check out our website, stayingfocusedforjesus.life. And make sure you check out that resource section, which has a lot of videos that I share and some other stuff. Books, documents, PDF, websites, many things, and it's growing daily as I add to it. Also follow us on Facebook for even more content. Staying Focused for Jesus on Facebook.
Squeeze it so tight, get the last drop, till there's nothing left, until we pass out. Keeping us around to clean up the mess and take the garbage out, but we'll be trash next. Create catastrophes to speed up the process. Depopulation, agenda progress. News tell half-truths, hidden in plain sight. They know with it Kool-Aid, but gave us cyanide. They know we don't see it. They know you can't see it. What they've done to us. Open your eyes. Lemonade. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't safe for us. They made it so sweetly, so it will be easy to carry their plans out to eliminate us. They hold us hostage, pay to receive fabricated knowledge, false education, standing ovation for my degree in indoctrination. Georgia Guidestones plainly tell us that they plan to eliminate us. Conspiracy theory, we see no dilemma as they quietly wipe out billions. They know we don't see They know you can't see it.
They know.
What they done to us, taking us down. Lemonade, don't drink the Kool-Aid, it ain't safe for us. They made it so sweetly, so it will be easy to carry their plans out to lemonade. Oh, lemonade, don't drink the Kool-Aid, it ain't safe for us. Made it too easy while we're busy sleeping. They carry their plans out to lemonade. Oh, invisible ones behind the scenes, like Geppetto, pulling the strings. Master plan, dumb us all down. Eat what they feed us, try not to think. Carry on, nothing to see as they continue with their killing spree. We wasting time on trivial things and bow.